So after we have a Derby prep weekend, we update our Kentucky Derby 150 top 20 list, and we have. And so we'll take a look at them five at a time. We've got some new shooters. Hades, we put him on the list because domestic product winning in the Tampa Bay Derby, albeit under a strange set of circumstances, I think validates Hades' Holy Bull. He needs to get faster. He needs to do a lot of things. But, you know, this is one of these years where this is a really strange group. Nobody's really taking command per se, and it's there's a lot of room for improvement on a lot of horses, but Hades seems to be a little more further along than quite a few of them. So after domestic products win, it validates the Holy Bull. He gets on the list. Lat Long has shown a little bit of precocity, but with Kenny McPeaks, you never know from race to race. We'll see how he does as he moves forward. Tuscan Sky, want to see him in stakes company. Very anxious to see how he does when he moves in. But right now, he's looking pretty good. It's hard to, evaluate when you beat Nash. Nash just has a propensity for second. So I don't know how much validity in retrospect, we can give that, saying like, oh, wow, he's really awesome. But he looks promising, and right now that's important for our list. Just a touch, we liked what he did in the Gotham. It was one turn in the mud, and he did run better than I expected he would, but he had every chance in that race too, and he didn't get it done. So I want to see him around two turns, but he does look like a move forward is likely. Ran better than I thought. And the Wood Memorial will probably be another weak field, and that'll give him every chance to stamp his ticket to the Derby. Stronghold is kind of up against it. The West Coast, Baffert's going to dominate, and that's going to take a lot of Derby point possibilities away from him. He needs to run against better horses, so I think they're going to have to move him east. And I haven't heard exactly where he's going yet. But he seems to have some ability. We'll just have to see how he does when he runs against some East Coast competition that's definitely more solid. Just Steel needs a break. We've talked about that, but he is a quality horse. He has made progressions. He's learning to manage his speed. I've liked everything I've seen from him. He's had two tough trips in a row. Wide posts he was compromised by. I'm not going to count him out of the Arkansas Derby with the coach. You never can. But this is a horse who's run a lot, and he does look like, in order for him to have an optimum effort in the Derby, maybe needs a break. Maybe they should have taken the Rebel off, but he belongs on this list. Mystic Dan, unless it rains again in the Arkansas Derby, I don't think he'll be on this list after that. I think everyone's pretty much in agreement. He was very much aided by a sloppy track in the Rebel, and or the Southwest, Southwest, I should say. This is a weird, he probably wouldn't be on my list if it wasn't such a weird year. But Mystic Dan, I'm not confident he'll be there much longer. Encino, to me, is pretty exciting. I think he's very promising. I liked what I saw in the Battaglia. He showed a professional way of going, rated very nicely. And if he can build off of that, he's a sleeper. Brad Cox knows what he's doing with 3-year-olds, and let's not forget the last couple of years what Turfway has produced from their Derby series, and not a lock that he will do well moving forward, but I think it is a good sign. So Encino, in this field where a lot of horses aren't taking the traditional route of progression, Encino looks to be, so he's exciting and he's on the list. No More Time, we moved on the list because he did what I wanted to do. He ran two good races in a row. I thought he built off the Sam F. Davis with a solid effort in the Tampa Bay Derby. Yes, you can say he did have more of he had a better trip than Domestic Product did, and rightly should have won the race, but he almost did, and he was unlucky in the photo. Domestic Product was a little better. So the fact that Domestic Product took a step forward and No More Time just missed with him, I think we have to put him on the list. Domestic Product, built off of the Holy Bull, was more forwardly placed and wasn't as rank as he had been in prior races, so he seems to be maturing. Getting closer to the pace definitely had its advantages. I think if he had stayed further back like he had in the Holy Bull, he would not have won the race. So I think that shows some signs of maturity and progression. Domestic Products heading in the right direction. Anna Marie gets into the top 10 because I thought that Risen Star wasn't bad coming off the bench. This horse had a great progression at 2, and I think the Risen Star showed that perhaps he's ready to build off of that. I'm looking forward to the Louisiana Derby, and Anna Marie is one that I think is heading in the right direction and could very well be moving up this list. Deterministic showed a lot of class coming off of that long a layoff to win a graded stakes race, albeit at one turn, albeit in the mud, against kind of a weak field. But I think he showed a lot of quality in doing so, and I'm really looking forward to seeing his next start in the Wood Memorial. Chances are he's got enough points already to get in the Derby, so I think we have to really start looking at him seriously. But he had a really nice maiden win at Saratoga. He demonstrated some quality, and he backed it up with a win in the Gotham. So Christophe Clement finally has a Derby horse. He's never had one before. And Deterministic, I think, is one that is pretty exciting to think about what may be in store for him. Forever Young, the Japanese transplant. The questions are the usual ones. Who's he running against? What's he doing? But Bookham Dano's a pretty good horse, and he beat him in the Saudi Derby after giving Spotting that field quite a few lengths. So I think there's some quality here. We'll see what he does in the UAE Derby. Like many of the horses in this field, Catching Freedom needs to grow up. He's very green still, and the fact that Brad Cox hasn't knocked that out of him yet, being the excellent trainer that he is a little troubling. He's had 2 races in a row, 3 really, where he's just been very, very green. And until he licks that problem, despite the fact he's displaying some talent, it's really going to compromise his chances to be a really solid Derby contender. Track Phantom hasn't done anything wrong. He had his own way in the Risen Star, and he still lost to Sierra Leone. I think that's more a credit to Sierra Leone than it is a detriment to Track Phantom. But you would have liked to have thought with a dream scenario like that he would have been able to pull it off. So that is a kind of a black mark on him, but hasn't done much wrong. And I think he did demonstrate he has some quality, which we were a little skeptical about. So we'll see what he does in the Louisiana Derby. I doubt he's going to have it that easy. We'll see what happens when the fat's put to the fire. But Track Phantom in this list, he's number 6. Fierceness needs to run a good Florida Derby. That's it. It's all or nothing for me with him. If he doesn't, he's off the list. He's nowhere. That's pretty much it. You just can't run a dud like that in the Holy Bull after running a dud in the Champagne Stakes and think that this horse has grit or can win without things his own way. So we'll see. The Wine Steward, frankly, if it wasn't for such a strange year, he would have been off this list by now. He needs to run. That's bottom line. And I think time is really running out on him. It looks like now he's probably only going to get 1 Derby prep. And if that's the case, I don't like his chances at all. If you know anything about him, let me know. I've been looking for reports on him, and I have not heard anything. So for now, he's number 4, and he needs to get faster. Hopefully growing over the winter will take care of that problem, because I really liked what I saw from him at 2. But he needs to run. That's the bottom line. If we go another round of preps without him, I'll throw him off. Dornoch, I downgraded from 2 to 3, and the reason being is the more I look at that Fountain of Youth, the less I like it. He didn't change leads readily in the stretch, and Danny Gargan said something that really got me thinking about this one, and it all makes sense the way he said it. Danny Gargan was being interviewed on the Thoroughbred Digest. Some of you, it's a podcast with Randy Moss and Zoe Cadman and Bill Finley, and they were asking Danny Gargan about him. He said Dornoch likes to wait for horses. Very troubling statement. Reason being, there is a herd mentality among some horses where they can't lead. They just wait for other horses to lead. Just as some examples, Sun King from years ago, Perfect Drift, Dynaver, were all horses who they could, as soon as they would get to the lead, they would wait for a horse to come and overtake them because they had the herd mentality. If that's the case, and it's real early to make that type of conclusion, you really have to downgrade Dornock's chances. And it may explain why they're always putting him on the lead, because he'd rather chase than lead. And so in order for him to win, he has to be on the lead, and he's got to win on class, which he did in the Fountain of Youth. He also seems to be a work in progress. So there's a couple of things there that really I've got some heightened reservations about Dornock, so we'll downgrade him to 3. Still a quality horse for sure, but now I have some major questions about him. Timberlake hasn't done anything wrong. You know, I thought he had a really nice Rebel Stakes to come off the bench. He won impressively. He did what he was supposed to do, and he didn't get keen like he had at times at 2. So I think there's some maturity there. I think he's progressing the right way. A lot to like, and I think he's between him and Sierra Leone, they're really the only two that you can hang your hat on and get excited about right now. So Timberlake, looking forward to see what he does in the Arkansas Derby. Sierra Leone, he closed into a slow pace in the Risen Star coming off the bench. I think he displayed a lot of quality, and was the thing I liked to see the most was he was closer to the pace than he had been. And I think that's very important heading into the Derby. And it also shows that this horse learns well, and he's maturing and he's progressing. So lots to like about Sierra Leone, and I can't wait to see him in the Louisiana Derby. So there's our list, our top 20, and you see we've had some changes in it. Most notably Locked coming off it, and really too bad. I was pretty sure after he scratched from the Fountain of Youth that we weren't going to see him. It's too late. Hopefully we'll get him back for the Travers or the Haskell later in the year, because I think he's a very exciting 3-year-old. But, you basically look at this list, and Sierra Leone and Timberlake, and then everybody else. You could put 3 through 20 in a hat and just randomly pick them up and put them on the list. That's the way I feel about it right now. We've got a couple that I think are intriguing, Deterministic and Encino most notably. We want to see how they do in their next start. And then Tuscan Sky, if he can handle Stakes Company, might be something. But wide open, and there's definitely going to be some changes. This list, as we know, is not cast in stone.